in our good news, bad news department, Lori Lightfoot. I guess I call her. I keep getting.
Let me just tell you, it is
Lori.
so
I keep
mean.
calling her Lori Big Head, Lori Frightening Face,
whatever.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, no, I that is so mean. She's a weirdo, but I just, when you say that, I just like cringe every time you say that.
I know, but sometimes we have to value truth over sensitivities.
But I don't like name
But
calling.
anyway,
Okay.
I do at certain times.
Yeah.
But Lori Lightfoot, I think, to her own astonishment, has been given the boot. Now, I thought it's kind of funny. She apparently said she was defeated by racism and sexism.
Oh, absolutely. She played the race card, the gender card, every other card there is to play.
I'm surprised she didn't come out as transgender and play that card.
I don't even know.
Play all the cards.
But let me tell you, she played as many cards as she could. And she was defeated. Now, she did run on the basis of the crime was so high that she vowed to lower crime rate, which, by the way, I think it quadrupled.
It's absolutely horrible.
I mean,
but let's dissect for a moment this whole "I was voted out because of race and gender." Let's put it this way: anyone who says that has got to explain how you were originally elected by the same people, even though you're still black, even though you're still a woman. So it couldn't have been that they were prejudiced against you from the outset, because they voted you in. And I believe she was even reelected. Or was she?
She only served one term.
One term.
I think this is the first time in history, in the 40-year history of Chicago, that a mayor has not won re-election.
Now, we have to discuss this.
She broke that record.
Are Chicagoans really getting anything better? Now, apparently, the way this works is 10 people were in the race. The top 2 go into a runoff. And here are the top 2. A white guy, bald guy, I'm looking at his picture here. His name is Paul Vallis, and he's the chief of schools, the chief of the public schools. That's right there, probably not a good sign. Some people are describing him as a moderate, but I'm pretty confident he's not all that moderate. The other guy is an out-and-out far leftist. Some people call him a Marxist. His name is Brandon Johnson. He's a county commissioner. And so here we go. We don't want Lori Lightfoot because, it's almost as if Chicagoans are not even seeing a distinction between an individual and a set of policies.
They're
like, oh, it's Lightfoot. She failed. Let's get rid of Lightfoot. Let's bring in some other guy.
Let's bring in Heavyfoot. See if he's better.
Let's bring in a person who's going to follow very similar policies. That's going to basically toe the leftist Democratic Party line, because none of these guys show any sign of breaking with it. We saw this in New York. I mean, de Blasio was horrible.
Yeah,
so they go, let's bring in the new guy. He's going to be different. Well, he said a couple of nice things about he once praised a policeman.
See, this whole notion that these liberals want crime to go away with social workers. This is their mentality.
This is the wrong philosophy.
This is the philosophy that they have. They want to talk to the criminal. They want to get, on the good side of the criminal. Well, you know what? There's no such thing. And as long as they're light on crime, like Lori Lightfoot was, they're going to continue to get crime.
I mean, these things, it's funny. You don't need a graduate degree to figure this stuff out. If someone is coming to rob your house, they're outside. Let's say they're prowling around. They're looking for a way to break in. Do you say to yourself, let me go out there. Let me talk some sense into that guy. Let me find out what in his life is making him do that, why he's acting this way. Doesn't he have somewhere else he needs to be? You don't do that. You call the cops. Why? Because you realize that that's stupid. And yet that philosophy, which we all acknowledge to be idiotic on the personal, direct, experiential front, suddenly acquires a mystical significance when it's put into sort of political language. And you hear from Ilhan Omar, AOC, the problem with crime is you don't understand, these neighborhoods this is where these people grow up. This is the situation they're facing. Social workers are what they need, not more cops.
Right. And so they're not going to see a decline in crime. I hate to tell you, but it's probably going to get worse. Can
it get worse?
It can, yeah.
I guess it always can.
It can get worse because it can spill into the other communities that don't have it yet. Because, as you know, the inner cities are completely a war zone, but that's the inner city, right? But the suburbs, it's going to start.
This is why a lot of white progressives, I think, continue to talk this kind of nonsense, and it's because they live in more protected environments. Right. Even Obama, although he talked about being from Chicago, he actually lived in a very Tony neighborhood in a very nice house. So these are people who don't have to directly endure these conditions. And so they can take a kind of virtuous stance
outside
politically.
They're looking into the fishbowl kind of thing, but it will spill over. And I think until it does, the voters in Chicago are going to realize that they cannot keep electing progressives. They cannot keep electing Marxists. And maybe, just maybe, they'll learn a lesson.
And see, when they're authors of these policies, and then the policies come to haunt them. I mean, a classic example was the break-in into the Pelosi home. Now on a human level, yeah, I do sympathize. But if you listen to my commentaries, there was very little sympathy. But the reason is why? These are the people who are devising those policies. They are far more responsible for them than even some ordinary progressive leftist on the street, because that guy's not making the policy. But Pelosi and her cronies are creating these urban plantations. And when the urban plantations come visiting to their home, they don't like it.